Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of revision on the perfect tense. So remember again that the perfect tense is a past tense in German, okay? This is one of the ones that you will have come across quite early in year 8, but I know that some of you are still getting a little bit confused about how to put them together. So first of all, you need to remember that there are 3 things that you need to do. You need the person that you are talking about. So let's imagine, first of all, you want to say that you've done something, you need ich. You then need one of these 2 verbs. Okay, now these are called auxiliary verbs, and they're basically there to make this tense work. So let's imagine that the verb that you need is harbour. Okay, and then the third thing that you need is your past participle. Your past participle is the GE word, which I'm going to use an example. Getanzt, and getanzt goes at the end. So the 3 things are, you need your person that you're talking about, you need your auxiliary verb, that will be haben and sein, and you need your past participle, which goes at the end. Okay? So, haben or sein, deciding which one you need. Here we go, look, haben or sein plus our past participle is all to do with whether you're describing motion or movement from one place to another. All right? So, that's the actual real sort of grammar rule for this. Is a tiny bit more complex than that, but that's the easiest way to work out whether you need haben or sein. So, if you do not describe actual motion. Now, what that means is if your verb is not a verb of motion, verbs of motion actually describe the movement. So they could be to go, to run, to jump. They can be to fall because that starts in one place, ends in another, obviously, to swim. They actually describe the movement, okay? There are far fewer of those than there are verbs that don't describe movement, obviously. So most of the time, you are going to need habe. Okay, so you would have ich habe, du hast, es hat, wir haben, ihr habt, and sie haben. Okay, and you would use this verb. Then you would put your past participle at the end. So the fact that goes at the end means that if, for example, you were going to say, I danced in the disco, you would say, ich habe, and you know that your extra information goes there. So you know that you then want getanzt at the end. And that is where you would put your, for example, in der Disco. Okay? So ich habe in der Disco getanzt. Right. So let's have a look at practicing, first of all, some verbs, some nice regular verbs that take haben. So you can see how we make our regular past participle. That has come from tanzen, hasn't it? All right. So what we've done is we've taken off the en, and then we've put a G on the front and a T on the back. Okay. So let's have a look at some regular verbs. So regular verbs like gehört. Okay. So hören is your regular verb, to listen. So I would like you to see if you can write I listened to music. Okay, have a little go and then press play and I'll talk you through it. So, first of all, listened is not a verb of motion. So we know that we need habe. So we're going to start with ich habe. Again, I told you that this was going to be regular. So to turn hören into a past participle is regular and it goes at the end. So we're going to take off that en and we're going to put a G on the front and a T on the end. So gehört, and then the extra information, which in this case is music, Musik, goes there. So ich habe Musik gehört. Okay, right, spielen is a regular verb, so have a go at I played table tennis. Okay, so I played. I've told you that it's regular, and we know that it's actually the verb to play doesn't describe the motion. Don't get me wrong, run, jump whilst you're playing table tennis, that would describe motion, but the actual verb play does not. So, ich habe, and we said it was regular, so take off that en, ge on the front, t on the back. Your information goes there, which means we want the word gespielt at the end. And then the thing that we played, which is table tennis, tisch tennis, goes there. Okay? Right, so we've got some irregulars down here. And these irregulars are the ones with harbour. So these are the ones with no motion. Now you can see straight away that mainly these irregulars have the GE at the front still, but then they tend to have an en. So gelesen, getrunken as well, and that comes from trinken, so that's changed as well. Gesehen and gegessen. Okay, so those are irregulars, but I've written those down as the examples on the display board because they are very, very common ones. So have a go at writing. Number one, I read a book. Number two, now think about this one. We drank. No, let's go orange juice. I was going to go lemonade, but that's a bit easy. Orange juice. Okay. And what should we have? Three. He watched a film. And our last one, what do we have? They ate pizza. Okay, once you've had a go at those, press play. I'll go through them. Okay, so I read a book. It's over here, nice and easy. You just have to remember that this gelesen is going at the end. So you want the words ein Buch and then gelesen on the end. Okay, we drank orange juice. Right, now we need to remember then that we're changing the part of the verb because it has to go with wir, not ich. So wir haben. Past participle, however, will stay the same. And past participle goes on the end. So Orangensaft. And then getrunken. Okay, at the end. He watched the film. So gesehen, but this time he. So this is a hat. And then you would need einen Film. And then gesehen at the end. Okay. And then number four, they ate pizza. So gegessen, but they did it. So sie haben. This is it, the small s actually. Sie haben. I know it's going to have a capital because it's at the beginning of the sentence, but doesn't need one otherwise. And then we want our past participle at the end. That needs a capital letter. Sorry about that. It's a noun. Sie haben Pizza gegessen. Okay, and again, there's our gegessen at the end as past participle. Okay, right, so let's revise then using some of these verbs as well, shall we? Now, these basically are all going to be verbs of motion, and this is our new auxiliary verb. So instead of ich habe, du hast, er, sie, es hat, wir haben, ihr habt, and sie haben, which is our no movement. Okay, you've got these. Ich bin, du bist, er, sie, es ist, wir sind, ihr seid, and sie sind. And this one is if you are describing movement. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's use went for a start. So put our line there. So no movement. And this one will be movement. Now, you will also find that a lot of the verbs that you need to make your past participles out of when it comes to movement are also ever so slightly irregular. So I'm trying to get myself a little bit more space. So let's have a look at this one first. This is obviously an irregular past participle. Look, it's all irregular here, and it's ending in an en. Okay, because that has actually come from the verb gehen, hasn't it? To go. So that's very irregular because that's become gegangen. So let's have a sentence with that in it, shall we? So we went to the park. Okay, have a go at that one and then press play and I'll go through it. So we went and we know it's motion. So here we are over here. Wir sind and we've got gegangen. You just need to remember wir sind and gegangen goes on the end. And to the park will be zum Park. Okay, so next one is we went to, no, let's go, I went to London. So I'm just going to tell you that fahren is an irregular past participle and it goes to gefahren. Okay, so make sure that you're happy with that. So I would like you to say, I went to London. Okay, have a go and then press play when you're ready to check the answer. Okay, so we should have ich. So which form do we need of our auxiliary verb? We need that one. So ich bin. Told you that that's the past participle. So that leaves space for your information and then that goes at the end. And we went to London. So we need nach London. Okay. So basically what you need really is to remember that if you're making a nice regular past participle, it's GE at the front and T at the end. And apart from that, really what we just need to do now before we finish is have a look at the most useful past participles that you would need that are also irregular. So let's write a little list of those. Okay, so irregular past participles that you might need. Let's have a look. We would have bleiben, to stay. Ich bin geblieben. Okay, so you can see that ends in an en. So that's obviously irregular. Then you've got we've got gegessen on here. We've got gefahren. We don't have. Let's have that one. So ich bin gefahren. We did that as our example on the last page. I went. Remember that gefahren is the one with transport. We've got gegangen on here, right? Lesen is another one. I'll leave a little bit of a gap because there's not been, is it? Because I read is obviously going to be no movement, so it's going to be up here, and it's going to be ich habe. So ich habe gelesen. I read. We've got schreiben. So ich habe geschrieben, meaning I wrote. Gelesen's already on here. Gesehen's already on there. What about this one? Now, this isn't strictly speaking desperately irregular, but have a think about this. Gearbeitet. Okay, if you've got a stem that ends in a T, you need to add that extra E. So arbeiten, take off the EN, but actually you need the E still between those two T's. So you would end up with ich habe gearbeitet. So I worked. Okay, right, trinken. Oh, we've got that one. Ich habe getrunken. Okay, so I think that's probably enough for the time being. We'll add some more to our list on the wall in school, so that you can use them. And what we'll also do is, as I start working through the writing papers with you, I will start to make a list of irregular past participles onto a piece of paper that we can add again that have come up as part of what we've written for our writing practice. Okay, well done.